Okay, and we're on. So, hi everyone, and welcome to a very special other episode of Dead Air. Fuck Gimple, fuck AMC, and fuck The Walking Dead. It's just the last big cat and Forever Michonne this time. Oh no, and now Autumn's here. Oh,
Hi guys.
yeah. Hey. No, we were just gonna see if people came in the crash, so good timing. Yeah, so this time we're just gonna go over all kinds of ways that Gimple sucks, AMC sucks, and The Walking Dead sucks. Specifically about this Carl situation and some other stuff too. So, as you all may have heard, Chandler got kind of a shitty treatment behind the scenes. So, Forever or Autumn, would you like to fill everyone in on that?
Yeah, so Gimple decided to kill off Carl to everybody's surprise and dismay and I suppose mortification, because to me that signals that this show is going down the fucking drain. I'm sorry. I don't know why he would do something like that. I know it's a lot of speculation behind the scenes. That always seems to come back to money. In this case, since we all know that AMC is notoriously cheap, apparently, and it was not Chandler's decision, because I've been hopping around on forums and things, and I keep seeing that it was his decision. It was not his decision. He didn't know. Apparently, they didn't tell him until June, which is also fucked up, in my opinion. Because at least with other character deaths, people have known ahead of time. And the symbolism in Carl being the future and where they're going to go with the story. And I know I hear a lot of people saying that the TV show is different than the comics and it's a deviation. But this is kind of, it's bigger than just a deviation, because not only the fact that they killed Carl of all people, but it was the way and the manner that they killed him. Like, the impact for me was kind of deflated. If you were going to do something like that, I feel like it could have been a better way for you to do that, instead of kind of like last minute, oh, he got bit by a walker in that episode 3 episodes ago that we didn't know, and like now it's revealing, and it's just bullshit. Like, the whole thing is bullshit. Makes me angry. I've been ranting for 2 days straight since it came out, and yeah, I don't want to have an aneurysm about it because it's still a show, but it's just incredible to me. Like, why in God's name? I just don't get it. I know I'm not the only one here, but it's just I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me how you could do this to your fans, completely deviate from the story like that. Basically, that's a fuck you to all of us that really like the show. It's just like, well, do what I want and save some money, whatever. Apparently, he's going to be turning 18 in a couple weeks.
He's already...
the age... Is he already 18 now?
Yeah,
okay.
He turned 18 in the summer.
Nice. So I don't know. It's just a crazy situation. I'm thinking, I don't know where they're going to go from here. I don't even know if I'm really that interested in finding out. I'm a tad bit curious, but I don't know. It's just crazy to me. What about you guys?
Yeah, Forever. What did you hear on Chandler's treatment?
I was going over the Hollywood Reporter article, and I was just frustrated again over just the fact that they were using him as like they described it as like the hole between Rick really wanting to kill Negan versus getting to a point where he does not, which I just don't understand given the circumstances in the zombie apocalypse and what Rick has gone through, I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand how, even if Carl was that kind of like humanitarian figure that Chandler describes him as, I don't understand why Rick would use Negan to honor Carl's wishes when Negan is vile and a rapist and all of these terrible things. What is one more person? What is one more person? One more death of like a horrible person when you've already killed, like, your kill count is however many high. What's one more guy before you decide, okay, now I'm gonna start like jailing, I'm gonna start like putting things into a judicial system. Like, yeah. I'm not understanding what, like, Gimple's reasoning about this at all, and just why they're trying to pull like the sheep's wool over our eyes. Like, we see we know what Negan is about. Like, you cannot tell us, like, even like in the Big Scary You, when they tried to like soften him up a little bit, and he was still like a cheater. It's like, even when they try to soften him up, it just makes him like 10 times worse. He was a cheater who, could not kill his wife when she turned. So I'm not understanding what warrants this. What warrants this to make him live?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It's not.
They had plenty of characters that they could have killed off that would have made more sense. Like, they could have killed off Daryl. They could have killed off Morgan, which is what a lot of people thought they were going to do, since he's going to Fear anyway. Or, I don't know, they could have, if they wanted to kill off a character that was close to Rick, maybe Judith, even that, because in the comics she died, so it would still kind of make sense for her to not be there. I don't understand why killing off Carl, especially the way that it happened, even more. Like, it wasn't like some big self-sacrificing thing. I mean, I know he was helping out, helping the other members of Alexandria get into the sewers or whatnot, throwing the smoke with it. And then on top of that, everything was entirely too dark. Like, I could barely see what was going on. So it just made me mad. Like, the whole episode, it felt like it was slow in some parts. Like, it's not like it didn't have good parts to it, but overall, it made me more upset than anything. And then afterwards, on the Talking Dead, just people were just looking crazy on there. Like, something didn't feel right. Gimple was looking crazy. You're not going to justify it to me, no matter how much you try. You can't justify this in my eyes. You just can't. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
No, yeah, it was pretty much bullshit. Yeah, and they didn't even tell Chandler until episode 6 of this season that Carl was gonna die. And I mean, yeah, the kid was turning 18. He was going to college. He just got accepted to a college nearby, so he could still work on the show. He was excited about Carl's upcoming plot lines. They told him that he was going to be on the show for another 3 years, and then all of a sudden, oh, you're fired. Happy 18th birthday.
When did they tell him that he was on the show for another 3 years?
The date wasn't exactly, I don't know the exact date, but they did tell him before or early in this filming season, or before, like, they were talking about negotiating contracts or something. I don't know that he signed anything, but they did tell him that he would be on the show for another 3 years.
And he purchased a house.
And he bought a house, which is an ordeal as someone who recently purchased a house.
Congrats.
So like all that he would have had to, get all the shit going with the mortgage and whatnot, and then it's like, oh well, now he has to like sell it or some shit, and that's a whole ordeal too. That's no small thing. That's not like, oh, you just go to the store and you buy the house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's bullshit.
And that's happened. That's happened before, like with Emily. She bought a house or was gonna buy a house, and then they told her that Beth was dying. Although they straight up told what's her face, who played the owl lady, that she shouldn't buy a house.
Oh, Jeffrey.
But why she thought she would be on the show is anyone's guess. But they told Chandler, and he had every reason to believe that they were being honest with him. And he would be here for another 3 years. So that's, he's starting a new life as an adult, and buying a house would be not something most like kids his age would be able to do. But since he has the money to support himself, that'd be like a huge step into adulthood. And they just fucked him over. It'd be one thing if they told him ahead of time, but they told him like a few weeks beforehand, after telling him that he should, or that he would be on for 3 years. Like, that's just bullshit.
It's shady. And then from, the last season where Carl was pretty much gung-ho about killing the saviors to completely, he's more peaceful and stuff now. And it seems so forced and kind of contrived to change his sense of point of view like that. But you kind of knew something was coming. I knew something was coming, but I didn't think they'd actually do it. And you don't have to be the biggest Carl fan to understand his importance to the show.
Yeah, it's he's the kid, not even just Rick's kid, but the kid that we've watched grow up. He's the only character that can really have any arc that he's had, because even though there can be other kids on the show, and there are other kids on the show, we didn't see them from the beginning. We didn't see them before the zombie apocalypse like we did in the little flashbacks. We didn't see them first learning about walkers, learning about how to navigate this world, losing like their mom, getting like his whole journey with becoming a big brother, with everything he's been through since the beginning has been through like the eyes of a kid in this situation. He's the only one that we've seen from the beginning, and now he's just dead. Like all the early seasons, Rick's entire motivation was keeping his family together, and Carl was a big part of that. Even though his family has expanded and includes, everyone we include in Team Family, it's still Carl is the heart of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a major deviation for Rick, and then it's just tossing Carl aside entirely and acting as if his only purpose was to make Rick feel bad, to have whatever arc comes after this. And that's not true. Carl is bigger than what he means to Rick. He's his own, he was his own character and his own person, and he had something no other character on the show can have or ever possibly can have.
That's a really good point. I never thought about it like that.
That's why that's part of why I'm pissed at Rick right now. Fucking asshole. He's getting plot lines because Carl died.
And I don't think, like, if they do the time jump thing, if they're gonna just time jump and then Judith is gonna be like 6 or something, I don't know what they're gonna do now.
Yeah, I don't. Judith, like I was looking forward to seeing Judith grow up and stuff. At the same time, that she can't have the same arc that Carl had, because all she ever knew was the zombie apocalypse. So it's just not the same. And she can still grow up and have a childhood in this crazy world, and we'll have something similar with the kid in the zombie apocalypse thing, and maybe she'll do different things from Carl. But it's just that we're losing that kid who knew what it was like before, and is growing up in this weird world now and navigating it against, you know, adults who grew up in this world who were in the world before and are navigating the zombie apocalypse. There was always that interesting like comparison between how Carl understood this world and how all the adults dealt with it, because Carl had an easier time adjusting because he was a kid. He didn't have the same concept of the world as people who were older and or kind of had thought they had everything figured out. He didn't have the old world figured out either because he was a kid. He was still learning. So when his whole world changed, he had an easier time adjusting because he didn't have a set idea of what the world was like yet.
Right.
But yeah, I hope we can cycle back to the narrative bullshit reasons that Gimple gave for Carl's death, and what the specifics of how he died and how that's supposed to play into Gimple's master plan, quote unquote. But Gimple gave up in the Talking Dead that he was trying to bridge a comic plot line or plot point where Rick spares Negan, and he couldn't figure out how Rick goes from wanting to kill Negan to sparing him. So he decided that the thing to do was kill Carl. So what's everyone's thoughts on that? Just, I know we've talked about it a little bit, just like dig deeper. Autumn?
It makes me ill. That's what it's just, it's a shitty excuse. If you have to take Carl out to pigeonhole that idea, then maybe, just maybe, Negan has to die. I'm just saying, maybe it makes more sense for Negan to die. If you don't want Rick to do it, have Maggie do it. Have Rick capture him or whatever. They say he has a trial or some shit, and Maggie executes him in the night. I don't know. I don't know. Something other than this. It seems very forced to me and contrived, and I hate it. I hate it. It's a bullshit excuse. And that whole show, like I'm saying, people were looking awkward. Like it's almost like they know they fucked up. Almost like like people are not going to be happy about this. The ratings are already down the toilet, and then now you kill Carl, and then like, motherfucker, you're not a good enough writer to me for you to completely deviate off of the comic book like that. And it's not like I'm not open to deviation, but this is just a little bit too much for me. Excuse my ranting, but it just makes me so damn angry. So angry.
Forever, what are your thoughts on the narrative spare Negan stuff?
I think that Gimple is going about it the wrong way. I feel like he thinks that the only thing he has left, or one of the only things he has left from a story point of view, is to have like stunt plots and get his ratings that way. I'm sure he knows that the ratings are not as stellar as they used to be, so he's like grasping at straws and grasping at Carl to like to make some sort of ratings jump and have something that people want to talk about. But it used to not be like a death that people were talking about. People were just, in season 1 and season 2, people were just talking about just the conflict and the story of it all, and they have really jumped from that point and just have gone into a downward spiral, and it ends with Carl. Like, this is like the moment. Well, there is a moment with 701, of course. That was a huge moment that you could feel like the Walking Dead's slowly dying, and this is another one where it's like story wise, you can just feel a lessening in quality. And that's really sad because as compared to the foundation that was started in 1 I know Denai was talking about that. She was like, that's why I wanted to join the show because of the foundation that was set by Andrew and John. The foundation is like it can't stand on its own. You have to cultivate it somehow, and they're just not doing that. And they're going for. I think it's more. I think it's more refreshing. Not well, no. It'd be more refreshing if Rick did decide to spare Negan, but I don't want that. It's not what I want. It's not what makes sense. It should be like one last stand, one last person to kill, even though he's probably gonna kill people after he spares Negan. It should be one last stand to kill Negan before you go into trying to recreate society, and then the whole thing ends. The whole show ends.
Yeah, like the several issues with using Carl's death to spare Negan. One of them being that it doesn't make any fucking sense why Carl dying would have that sort of effect. The other being that it's all supposed to be about honoring Carl, but the Carl that we knew before this season wanted to kill Negan. So it doesn't bridge anything.
In the matter of like.
And then another is if this was truly the only way to kill Negan, it's more like, or not to spare Negan, it's like Autumn said, it's more like a sign that that's not a plot point that makes sense for any of the characters that's not a decision any of the characters would make, apparently, because you've got to go way out of your way just to keep Negan around.
Like, Jesus Christ, if they want to keep him that much, can't they do something like he alone gets away and we don't see Negan for fucking years? They take out everybody else in the sanctuary, other than the people who surrendered, adapt them into the community or whatnot, on probation, of course, and then have the motherfucker come back 3 years later or some shit. You don't. I don't. It's so many other ways they can do this that I don't understand why they can they kill Carl like that. Other than the fact that it has nothing to do with creativity, it has nothing to do with the writing. It has everything to do with some other shit going on behind the scenes that we don't necessarily know for sure yet. But it just seems very fishy to me.
Yeah, and then with killing Carl for Negan, they had to change Carl to get it done. So it like, why would Carl of all the characters, if you want to honor someone with the, like, we have to work alongside Negan, why would you kill Carl when that was never his thing? And then when you're balancing like the value of the characters to the show, if that's what you're going to do in choosing who dies, why would Negan be more important than Carl?
Right.
That's Negan's just some fucking piece of shit. Like, how in a story that's started being like authentically about human beings and about family is Negan, who's just a bunch of like some frat boy avoiding saying the word fuck, and that's all he is. How is that more important than Carl fucking Grimes? But another aspect of Carl's death that was decided on and is supposed to be part of the story is the fact that he dies by bites. So what does everyone think is the clever twist with that forever?
I can't think of a clever twist for that. I touched a little bit on that. I think it was yesterday. But it makes no sense for him to be bitten this late in the game. I guess it kind of gives to like that walkers are still an issue, but if he's bit, I don't. If he's, I don't. I can't make sense of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that he was bitten at all. And like they could have changed that. It could have been something. I think if he wasn't bitten, I think it would have his death would have been more more worthy of Carl. They should have just left that.
yeah. Autumn, any thoughts on why Carl's death was by bite?
Other than the fact that it was more horse shit, it was. I just it could have been so much more impactful if you had to kill him, which they didn't. But if you had to kill him that way, just it's not cutting it for me. Especially how Sadiq is like, well, we have to honor and they have souls, so let me go ahead and free these souls in the walkers. Which, like, that shit is cute in, like, season 3, but we're, like, in season 8. Like, fuck that. Like, I don't understand. Carl should have looked at him like, all right, I want you to be my homie and everything. We could be cool, but that shit doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. So, I don't know.
Well, actually, on that note, I did say last episode that Carl did have an arc about respecting people's beliefs in the afterlife, so that still fits into that.
Well, good.
Season 2.
I guess. It's still shit to me. I still think it's horseshit. I'm sorry.
No, I think the fact that he got bit was horseshit, but the fact that he would help someone deal with something that's honoring their parents in a way that has to do with the afterlife is consistent with Carl's character since season 2.
Yeah, but I guess that was overwritten by the fact that he got bitten, so it's like, why? Why?
I think that the whole making walkers dangerous thing is fine and dandy. It's just that if that's the angle they were going for, it's kind of that could happen to then say any character, like maybe characters who are walking through a horde of zombies, like say Negan, for example. it's just like such a random bullshit death, and then to say like, oh yeah, it shows that, you know, walkers are a threat and that even when you're super badass you can still die. Like, it's bullshit, because then if we're gonna be realistic, all these characters should be dead. Daryl should have died in season 4. Glenn should have died. Rick should have died. Everyone should have been dead. Michonne should have been sick in season 3 if we're going with this whole Father Gabe being sick from like guts or something, because she was walking around with a bunch of guts on her and an open bullet wound. So all of a sudden this like dedication to walkers are dangerous and you get sick from guts is just like, it's changing the lore in one case where, because before you wouldn't get sick from walker guts apparently. And now it's just stupid, and then giving disrespect to a character and then saying, oh, it's for realism in a show that also has Rick driving a Jeep that's getting fired at by a 50 caliber machine gun, which I will bring up at every possible moment because that is so fucking stupid. I repeat again, just for the visualization, 50 caliber machine guns are meant to bring down planes, and they were firing at what would be the vehicle equivalent of like point blank. So the show can be like, it's realistic. Like, you just pick and choose when you want to be quote unquote realistic. Also, if Carl had to die, and if it had to be for like Rick to learn something, or for it to be like, you know, how this war cost them something, then Carl should have died in the war. Like getting bit by a walker under those circumstances could have happened at literally any season. There's nothing special about All Out War in how Carl died. He just got randomly bit by like a handful of walkers, which is a situation he has handled before. And that's it. Like there's nothing in here that Rick and Michonne are going to move forward and then be sad because this war cost them their kid. It didn't cost them their kid. The war could have not happened, and Carl could have died under the exact same circumstances.
Oh.
So all it is proving that the world continues to suck because walkers are in it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I think you mentioned about the sparklers that Carl was throwing around. It was like smoke grenades so that the saviors could find Alexandrians.
They was smoke screens.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, because I thought they were like road flares or something. Okay, there was some smoke screen stuff going on too. Okay, that makes sense.
I also feel like the show is telling us, like literally telling us, or finding reasons for us to not be mad at certain people. Like it's almost like it's contorting the story and making things that shouldn't naturally happen. Like for instance, with Carl not getting taken out in the actual war, but it's something off to the side. It's a walker bite, so technically you can't be mad at Negan for that because he didn't necessarily do it. And it's the same thing with like Daryl and Tara. It's like, well, it's not our fault. And then Rosita's like, yeah, it's not your fault. Like the show is like almost telling us, don't be mad at these people. We like these characters and they can do, whatever they want to do, but it's not their fault.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then it does tell us what other characters we should blame or will have grief arcs by like having a random savior say, it's your fault. Boy, thanks for letting us know that as many issues as I have had with Michonne and her arc this season, that we are not supposed to blame Daryl and Tara for the thing that they did, but we should blame Michonne for the things that she didn't stop them from doing or something.
Right.
Like what the
exactly.
What the we don't need to go back to my rant on how mad I am at Michonne this season, but still, what the actual fuck? Why, like, it's Michonne's fault, but it's Daryl, Tara can just do whatever they want because they have feelings. So yeah, that's totally kind of making Carl die by bite instead of by some consequence, either from the saviors killing him, therefore it's Negan's fault, or because of this attack from Alexandria, which the saviors are able to do because Daryl drove a truck into the sanctuary. Then it's not Daryl's fault. So now it's no one's fault and it's meaningless entirely.
Right. How did they get out? Did they ever explain how they got out?
They didn't, but I figured out a way they could have gotten out as soon as Daryl rammed the fucking truck into the sanctuary. Because it moves all of the walkers inside the sanctuary and outside of the range of the snipers. So from the second story, all the saviors have to do is, now that they can actually access and see the walkers, just kill them from above. Now it's easy, because before they couldn't peek out, they couldn't open the doors, they couldn't go out the windows and try to take out the walkers because there were snipers watching them. But now with all the walkers on the inside of the sanctuary at the base level, all they have to do is like fire at them with their unlimited ammo or drop heavy shit on their heads. Like, it's easy at that point. They're all people who have survived 2 years into the zombie apocalypse and a giant herd of zombies that's, you're from in a safe distance away from is an easy thing to manage. They've used walkers to intimidate people before. Like, every group of people knows how to deal with them. The reason the walker siege worked before is because they weren't able to access the walkers because of the way the siege worked out. But when you give them direct access to the walkers, anyone who survived this long can deal with that.
You would think so.
Yeah, so it is basically entirely Daryl and Tara's fault that the saviors were able to get out because they gave them the opportunity to do that. I mean, Eugene apparently figured out how the saviors were going to get out, and whatever he actually did, like to make bullets or something. And he was trying, and people say, "Oh, he would have figured something else before. He had that iPod." But that iPod did not get any walker's attention. iPods are not that loud. It's definitely not louder than 20 deep walker just climbing up against each other trying to get to the fresh meat inside. Like a little buzzing iPod's not going to be more exciting than the smell of tasty meat. And all the sounds that the saviors would have been making, unless they're like dead silent inside the sanctuary, they're going to be making noise too, and the tiny little iPod wouldn't be any issue. Maybe that boombox, if he'd gotten it fixed. I don't know why he didn't get it fixed. But yeah, so cycle around to what did Carl mean to the show, and we can all talk about what Carl meant to us personally. Also, Autumn, what did Carl mean to you and, in your opinion, to the show?
I always looked at Carl as the future of the show. I also thought that Carl was the heart of the show. Just growing up in that world and persisting through all the adversity, all the stuff he's seen before and after, and they all been through so much together. I was looking forward, I was really, really looking forward to the next arc. Spoilers, of course, with the Whisperer War and everything. He has a really big part in that, and I was really, really excited to see that. And now it's not gonna happen. And for me personally, I was never a huge Carl fan, but I knew his importance to the show, and basically seeing a kid grow up and seeing how he's progressed as far as his acting and how tall he is now and stuff like that. You get kind of attached. You get attached to everybody. So for him to just get kind of disrespected like this, it almost makes me want to stop watching the show. And it sucks because the last time I really got fed up with the show was the Glenn Dumpster thing that they pulled before, and I stopped watching it for 6 months because it pissed me off so bad that they did that. And I got caught up on Netflix with the whole entirety of season 6 from that episode on, which I think it was 6-5 or 6-4 or something. From that all the way forward, I didn't even know Rick and Michonne had got together, so I was hella late to the party. And I don't know, just for them to take him out like that is just ridiculous, and it just makes me so upset that they did that. Yeah, but that's how I feel about the whole thing. It just gets me frustrated every time.
Yeah. And Forever, what did Carl mean to you and to the show?
To me, Carl meant I have a soft spot for kids. So I just really gravitate toward kids in the zombie apocalypse or that are dealing with certain things. So I just really, I loved Carl from the beginning, when we met him. He really represented just growing up and making, sometimes making the wrong decisions, sometimes feeling guilty, and I'm crying. Making the wrong decisions, and one of my favorite, two of my favorite moments from Carl are the monsters scene, and just thinking so much of himself and just having that self-image of himself that really touched me, up into the putting up thing, or it was just such a sweet scene of him, and was very representative of him just trying to make good out of this, terrible situation, losing his mother and having everybody around him die. So, and to me, into the show, he meant like a point of hope. I thought that he was gonna live and continue on and be a part of the new world. And I am very upset that he's not going to be around.
Yeah. And to me, with Carl in the show, and in a lot of ways, he was a character that was kind of easy to relate to, in that everyone's been a kid before,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then you just kind of imagine yourself like, okay, if I were some dumbass brat in this situation and like your whole world changed and all of a sudden, you know, you didn't have access to the things that you took for granted and all the adults around you were, you know, they didn't know what was going on either. It's just kind of like he grew up in this weird, bizarre world, and kind of it was so interesting to see how he took to everything, because the adults are all kind of, they have their set personality already. They're dealing with it in like 1,000 different ways, and then Carl, it's not that he didn't have a personality specific to him. It's not that he was like, it's not that just anybody could relate to him, but in some ways he was the kid, and his task in the show, his part of the show, was growing up and really figuring out this world. That was, he represented that the most over any other character.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing how he would metabolize things, the things that he learned from, you know, from killing people, from having his mom and his dad, their issues with Shane, and then the tensions between them, and then being a big brother, and when he was messing around with the zombie in the creek, and then that zombie eventually eats Dale, and like how he feels as just a kid going through all that and needing guidance, but the only guidance he gets is from adults who also don't know what the hell is going on. And then all the tension around all the adults around him trying to, you know, do kid stuff with him. They want him to be a kid, but they can't, because this world doesn't let your kids be safe in the way that a lot of people take for granted. Well, some people have the luxury of taking for granted in a not zombie apocalypse. So it was always like a lot of interesting questions that would come up from having a kid character in the show, and then also getting to see things from his perspective when we did. So before he became just like a symbol or whatever, like Gimple, I guess, just thought of him as like Rick's son or a symbol of hope or whatever. But when he was also a character, when he wasn't just motivation for Rick, but also his own person learning things, it was just a really interesting arc that brought so much to the show. Like this, a lot of the early seasons was Carl's journey, and if it wasn't Carl's journey in particular, then it was about Carl. So it just feels like that whole journey that we went on in the early seasons, apparently is the whole point of it, is that Rick is going to learn that he needs to spare a piece of shit. So what Carl meant to me in the show before all this was that the future, the hope, or the present, or something, or just something about the way that kids navigate the world versus adults, and how children can have a different perspective on things, because, you know, the world is always new to a kid because they haven't been here that long, whereas an adult has a more set mindset. And then it was always interesting to see scenes of Carl just being a kid, like with the pudding, or when he saw the video games in the house, and he got excited for a second, and then he remembered that, oh yeah, there's no power, so he just takes the cords and uses them for a practical, not fun purpose. So yeah, he just has this role that no one else can fill ever. And I think that, and he had that, like, a lot of darkness in him, like you said, forever, where he had his monsters quote to Michonne, where he was kind of worried about his own dark thoughts and what his father would think about him. There was just so much balance with Carl, and sometimes he seemed wise beyond his years, and other times you could see how he was still just kind of this vulnerable kid, and other times you could kind of see how he just wants to play video games and roller skate with his girlfriend and do like regular kid teenager things. And and sometimes I would think like, oh, maybe this is like what my little brother would be like if the world went to shit. He'd probably be like Carl, because he's kind of a turd, but he has a good heart too. He'd probably be a little badass and a brat. So yeah, I got real upset when I first heard the spoiler. Called my baby brother a few days later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, there's been a lot of other issues with the show. So what do you all think is left of The Walking Dead? And we know everything's just on a downtrend. That's just a fact. What do you think really started that downfall? So what's left of the show, and what do you think started the downfall? Autumn.
I honestly don't know what's left of the show right now. Maybe you can get a few more seasons out of it, since they're starting to kill off. They killed Carl off, so I don't know where they're going to take it from there. But I did see the downward spiral in last season, season 7, which when you binge watch it is better than if you watch it every week, and you have to wait a whole week for the next episode. But it just seemed like it was on a steady decline after Negan came in, and the pacing of the show it seems like it's different. They're focusing on things that we kind of don't care about, people we kind of don't care about, and it's gotten to the point almost where, like I mentioned earlier, the dialogue is telling us a lot of things rather than showing us and having things progress organically. The vibe of the show is very different than how it started. Which personally, I mean, it's a change I didn't particularly like, but it is what it is. I'm probably gonna peek in the show every now and then, but the fact that they killed Carl off is kind of one of those things where it's taken so much out of me, and it's taken so much out of the show to me, that I don't know how it's gonna go from there.
Yeah. And forever, what's left of the show, and what started the downfall?
I really don't know what's left of this show from here. With Carl gone, and honestly, to continue on, who they give Carl's well, I haven't finished the rest of the comics yet, but who they give Carl's story to is really going to affect how I respond to this show from here on out. So I'm really hoping that 9 is the last one. 9 is the last season, or possibly even like 10. Because it has, to me, I feel like it has to come to a close, or you can just, like, I don't know, like, do like a sort of the next generation kind of thing and jump forward or whatever, but just don't call it The Walking Dead. Just pinch it off. Call it like The Walking Dead 2 or something. Call it, because this isn't The Walking Dead. I started watching.
The Also Dead. The Running Dead.
Dead 2.
The Running Dead.
But you know, I think that started around like season 5. Like with what's happened. I think what's happening and what's going on is like that's like one of my favorite episodes. But that was also kind of like to me, I felt like a peak of episodes. Like that's like one of the better episodes. And from there it was just like a slow like decline into 6 and into all of this with Negan, and it just goes from like killing characters and underestimating characters that, you know, have like we're watching this because of the family aspect, because of not only the team family aspect, but because of individuals in team family that are like strong characters and that characters that we love, and they're slowly dying off for stupid reasons. And this is like, I'm sure many people's last straw. Like one of my very few last straws. So that's where I think it's coming from.
Yeah. And I think that's the show. I don't really know what's left of the show either, because it seems like every time there's an optimistic person or a symbol of hope, they die. Like, I even remember back when Michonne went canon, everyone was like, oh, they're gonna die because they're happy, and they would have been right to think about that. I mean, they weren't right because that hadn't happened yet, but it's just kind of like that's how the show is. Like, every time someone has some reason to feel joy or look forward to something in this world, they die. Every time someone embodies hope, they die. Carl was on a dark arc, but then as soon as it's his time to die, all of a sudden he's turning around, he's singing Kumbaya, and he's got, you know, we gotta stop killing people, and he's all of a sudden he's like a symbol of hope, embodied positivity or whatever. And then he's dead. It's like it's almost like Gimple refuses to kill off characters unless they have something to look forward to. I mean, there are a few exceptions. I think with the Williams siblings were both kind of depressed down at the end. Like Ty gave up on life, and Sasha just wanted to follow Abe. But we've got all these other miserable fucking characters like Rosita and Daryl, who just does the same thing over and over again, and Tara, and it's like he just loves misery or something and wants to kill off all the happy people. So I don't know what's left of The Walking Dead. They can say it's an optimistic story, but the only optimistic thing we have to look forward to, apparently, is Negan being spared, and then a time jump, most likely, past all the happiness until the next shitty thing happens. So it's just what we have left is more of the same, and the same has just been misery and misery and misery. And all of the whole point of happiness is just to make you more miserable down the line.
Yeah.
Or to symbolize your oncoming death. And yeah, I think the start of the downfall of the show, with a lot of the current issues, was really the Grady arc, because not necessarily. Well, it was kind of that misery thing, but it was also like with Beth, her whole bottle episode ended up being completely useless because she just died. So it has that problem where they just build up side characters and it goes to nothing. Like Tara's bottle episode last season, Oceanside has yet to really be important at all. So that was just a waste of time. I mean, maybe we'll see something happen with Oceanside in 8B, but it's just like stuff takes too long to pay off if it does pay off, and so many things in the show haven't paid off at all, like the Grady arc, which was pointless. So, and Beth just died. She got like a big plot line, like she was supposed to become important all of a sudden, and then she just died, and that's all that happened.
Yeah.
And then Noah died too. So, any possible importance that the Grady arc could have had died with him because he was the only other person that was actually influenced by Grady, the place. So it was just this massive waste of time, and Beth dying was stupid, and everyone was just miserable for no reason. And then Tyrese died the next episode, so it's like you have this huge hiatus. They just time skip past Grady and the immediate fallout, so it all means nothing again. And then you know what happens? Tyrese dies. And I think as much as I did like that episode for what it was when it first aired, and that's what you come back to, I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
we just lost one member of Team Family, and now we're just losing another one to just utter meaningless. Even though at least they gave him like a good send off where he got to like kind of deconstruct his character and see him kind of confront himself. So it was at least a good character study for Tyrese. I just wish he had lived because I was super like, oh, he'll super live. They'll just chop off his arm and he'll be a badass. But yeah, I think it started with season 5 really, and then they go into the Alexandria arc, and all of a sudden they were just wasting time with building up stuff for plot points, or like really obviously only building up stuff for plot points. Like the whole owl lady thing was just so that Rick could chop her arm off, and it would be this like shocking moment, but it was just a bust. So it's like they just spent a whole bunch of time doing things just hoping to get a shocking moment instead of sitting down and thinking, okay, like what would these characters actually do in this situation? And if you're trying to have characters have relationships and stories and just authentic characters in a family together, then they should be interacting. They shouldn't just hold things and hope that it's going to be shocking, or we'll just wait for it for like the opportune emotional moment. Like if Glenn was supposed to die at the dumpster, we wouldn't have known that he was, an expectant father until after he was already dead. So they were like holding in the pregnancy announcement to wait for like the maximum emotional impact. Or whatever, or just to make it like extra tragic. Oh, he was a father and we didn't know. So it's like they just wait for all these shocking reveals to make it more painful in the aftermath instead of having things progress in like a natural way and letting moments have like a realistic weight to them. Like we don't know when Glenn and Maggie got pregnant, and we never saw them make an announcement with people that they supposedly call family. We barely saw anyone kind of engaging with them in that manner, even though it would have made sense because there's several parents in Team Family and they're supposed to be a family. So why wouldn't they be concerned for or happy for their family members who are expecting? So it's like a whole bunch of stuff. There was like a shit ton of missed opportunities, and everything traded instead for just shock and bullshit.
Yeah, for just a cheap pop or a cheap reaction. And there's plenty of instances in the show where they've done major deaths correctly. I don't want to say plenty, but it's been some that it's been done correctly. Like with the two girls with Mika and what was her other name? Mika and Lizzie. That was something that you can see, like with Lizzie, you could see what was going on, and something isn't right. And it kind of was a slow thing until eventually she killed your sister, and you're like, oh my god. And Carol had to put her down. Like, that was a really good moment, although I don't support, of course, killing children. Yeah. But that was really impactful and heavy. I felt like that was done correctly. Like, Lori's death was I felt like meaningful, and I don't know, like the fact that they've done it before and now it just seems like they're killing people off just to get a cheap reaction. It makes me sad.
Yeah, and the thing with like Lizzie's death is that you could see kind of the buildup of it. You could see it coming, and it presented an interesting scenario and question when you have Carol and Tyrese in this situation where they're taking care of these children. Like, what do you do when one of the kids kills another one? Like, if it were an adult, maybe it would be an easy choice, but it's a kid, so just that kind of death. Like, it presented a question that was interesting, and also they were minor characters. So
That's true.
and yeah, with Laurie's death, one reason a lot of people were probably okay with it is because a lot of people hated Laurie, but another one was that her death was still it was kind of heroic in a way because she sacrificed her life for Judith, and she was like allowed this moment with Carl, and she kind of expressed her regrets and things, and it was also something that was coming, that was kind of built to because it was complications with pregnancy, and that being kind of hinted at a bit before, like with her being concerned about what they were how they were gonna have this baby, and then that they had to perform they were gonna have to perform a C-section on her because she'd have to do it with Carl before. So it was already kind of suggested that there's gonna be some issues with Laurie having Judith. So there's a lot to say that maybe Laurie, as soon as she knew she was gonna keep Judith, also knew that there was like a time limit on her life because there was a good chance she wasn't gonna survive childbirth.
Right.
So yeah, there's a point in the show where it felt like a lot of deaths were earned. Like Shane in season 2 was really obviously earned because that was basically the only way the conflict between Rick and Shane was going to be settled if neither one could back down. There were other deaths that weren't precisely earned, but I guess they felt less random and meaningless.
They did Noah kind of dirty. Like,
Yeah,
I was really hoping Noah would become a part of the community. I'm like, aw.
Noah's death rendered that. Again, Noah dying rendered Grady completely useless after Beth died. There's no point in that arc at all.
Nope. I'm so upset. And then I just started caring about Beth, and they killed her, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when you pull that same formula over and over again, you kind of like, it's not that shocking, to be honest, anymore, because it's like, all right, they're ramping up a minor character's arc or whatnot, so they must be next on the chopping block. Yep. Somebody's gonna die. Watch out, don't get too attached, because I swear I never cared about Beth before until the couple with Grady. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm actually starting to know Beth more, to understand her character, and it's like, too bad.
Gone. Yeah. I struggle to really think of any deaths since season 5 that really felt like it mattered at all. Like, the best you could say is that because a character died, other people felt bad. And
yes, I mean, Bob's was okay. I mean, it made sense. It got captured, but still.
Yeah. Other than it was just like Dale's death from the comics, and I guess it made the termites look threatening since they finally actually ate someone from Teen Family.
Right.
So at least I guess it was like a raising the stakes villain death or villain kill. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe after a certain point it just runs out of like earned deaths or something. But yeah, maybe Bob. I don't know. A lot of so many other deaths I can think of were just like whatever.
And when people were talking shit about the show, saying it's nihilistic or whatnot, I'm like, no, it's great. Well, yeah, now I see it now. Like, yeah, they're right, because it just seemed all gloom and doom and just torturing everybody repeatedly.
Yeah, it's just misery porn, and every time you get happy, just misery is gonna follow, and the character's gonna die, and it's just like they're just so boring. If you're the symbol of hope, you die. If you have morals, you die. Like every time there's a kind character, they're just gonna die. Or there's a high chance they will. I think one exception so far, but not necessarily the whole way through, was with Morgan, because he had the all life is precious thing, and it's instead of dying, he just goes back to his clear mindset. And then I don't know. I guess we'll see with Jesus when he all of a sudden became like Jesus. We'll see what happens with him.
Yeah, when did that happen?
I don't know.
Thought he was down with wrecking the saviors. I don't know.
But I'm sure this means he'll die.
Uh-oh. No one's safe.
Nope, no one's safe except for Daryl and Negan, who we will kill other characters to keep around. And
Carol. Apparently Carol is safe.
I don't know if I know she's Gimple's favorite, but I don't know if that makes her safe.
I don't know.
I would only bank on Negan and Daryl because of the merchandise. Carol doesn't sell as much merchandise.
It's true.
But anyways, move on to another topic that's not me. Gimple's worst mistakes. Just some highlights of fuckery from Gimple. Forever, do you have some Gimple's worst mistakes moments?
Well, this just recently with Carl, of course. Are you talking about like overall or just
overall? Like it can be a specific moment, it can be a plot line, it can be a line of dialogue, or just like a general trend in his writing or show running, anything.
Okay, yeah, like I don't know if this is necessarily Gimple, but they like depend on us to watch Talking Dead after the show. In order to like they don't it's show us, don't tell us, but they don't show us and they don't tell us. There's no like density in the writing. They don't like with the Betsy and David thing. Like that's like was so completely throwaway. That was so completely like throwaway. Like what happened? Thank you. With her realizing, like that she has some similarities with David and Betsy, only for what's her name? Jessie. Only for her to kill Betsy later on, but we don't find that out until like Talking Dead afterward. Like they could have done something really, really really sweet with that.
Yeah.
They missed so many opportunities to and she never like gave well she probably died beforehand, but she never gave the note to Betsy, or we don't know. She maybe did. We don't know.
Wasn't that note on the ground somewhere? Didn't they show it like after he died or something? That note was like on the ground.
She walked home and like just picked it up and just like, or like she could have been like a telegram or something. Like she knows what it says.
It's dirty.
But she didn't do it. Or we don't know. So it's just like a bunch of like we don't knows, and it's just
fuck that guy.
It happened in Gimple's head, and that's what matters.
Yes. So that's what I feel about Gimple. I wish that he pumped up his episodes with just um, more overall story and picked up the pacing.
Yeah. Yeah. Autumn, what's Gimple's worst mistakes?
Besides what was already stated with, some things are just never, it was set up, but you never delve into it. Like, it's completely forgotten about. Like, the whole Andre thing, I don't know if that had to do with Gimple or not, but that, the dumpster thing, of course, Carl, that CGI deer, I'm gonna blame that on him too. um what else? The dialogue where they say something and then they describe it, it's like a very specific pattern that they fall into, and you can tell it's like, we're doing this again. Like, for example, this thing that we're doing right now, it's not worth it. Like, come on now. And they do that every time, and it's like, please stop. Just stop talking like that. I'm done. I'm over it. So those are like a few things. I'm sure there's more
Oh, there's
that
so
I
many.
can blame on him, that I probably shouldn't even blame on him, but I'm going to, because, I have to take my frustrations out on somebody. And AMC, I'm blaming AMC too. They're cheap goddamn selves.
Yeah.
Cheap fuckers.
Cheap, cheap, cheap. They're why Daryl's still here. For
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Because I don't think Gimple
Yeah.
gives any kind of a fuck about Daryl. But AMC sure does. So we'll keep his rotten corpse around.
That merch. We need that merch money.
Absolutely disgusting. Just for the record, for all people listening, I hate every single Daryl fan. All of you. If you love Daryl, I hate you. Just so you know.
She's serious.
I hate you. I have hated you personally, every Daryl fan, since the premiere of the 7th season, when all of you, yes, every single one of you, stood up and cheered for the guy who got Glenn killed. Because you are soulless, mindless little rotten filth with no empathy. None at all. All of you, every single one. You all suck, and I hate you.
When are we going to kill Daryl off and replace him with who he needs to be replaced with, which is Dwight? When's that going to happen?
I don't know.
Ever? Is it ever going to happen?
Frankly, I think they can both die. I'm like, whatever.
Oh, I like Dwight.
Nah, he killed Denise. He was just kind of a jackass to Rosita, and I don't really care about him either.
He did, but he's grown. He's changed. He's helping the right side now. He just wants to make it right.
Yeah, whatever. He can do that, and then he can die.
Ooh,
I don't really
you're sounding
care.
like Daryl now.
No, but I'm not gonna go out of my way. I'm not gonna go out of my way to kill him. I just don't care. He's not that great. I don't think I'd take Dwight over Daryl, but I don't think he's that great of a character either. Like, whatever. He's an asshole, and now he's helping the right side. Go do the bare minimum as a human being.
Go. What about Eugene?
Yeah, fuck him too.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't find it impressive to be a bare minimum human being and oppose Negan. That's okay. Everyone should do that. It's like when someone says like they didn't vote for Trump or whatever. Like, well, you shouldn't vote for Trump. I don't think that makes you like a super good person. That just makes you not evil. Congratulations. It's like, oh man, that person hates Trump. Anyone with a mind or a heart should hate Trump. So you don't get cookies for that.
Well, apparently that's not the world we live in today.
Nope, everyone who voted for Trump is a monster. Just like every Daryl fan is a monster. We're talking absolutes here on this podcast. Dead air. Fuck Gimple, fuck AMC, fuck The Walking Dead, fuck Daryl fans, and fuck Trump supporters.
So many shots being fired. It's great.
Yep.
Like that felt good.
Yeah, it always
Fuck
feels
all
good.
of you.
Fuck everyone. Or in Forever's case, fudge everyone.
Fudge.
Yeah. And, well, there's still so much to say about Fuck Gimple because I could just talk about this all week, and I think I will. But do either of you have any closing thoughts on Fuck Gimple, Fuck AMC, Fuck The Walking Dead?
It's trash. It's all trash now. They threw it down the toilet. We all had a good thing going. And you ruined it. You ruined it all with your goddamn money greedy, grubby hands. You've ruined it. You've ruined the show. I love this show. Do you know how much time I put in this goddamn show? Do you know the sweat and tears as a fan of this show that I went through? And for you to just create this massive dumpster fire, it's offensive. It's offensive to me. It's offensive to all of you, I'm sure. And with that being said, fuck off. I'm happy I don't have cable and I don't watch this shit live. I stream it. You can all fuck yourselves. And I'm done. For now.
All right, Forever, any closing thoughts?
It's just exhausting to think that this is just only one half of a season.
Boo!
There's still like another half of the season to go. I was thinking about it today. It's like, oh my gosh, there's like 4 episodes left of this whole season. Deal with. And one of them is gonna be like Carl's like actual like the events of his death. So
The fun. It's ridiculous.
I am disgusted.
Mm-hmm.
We will be so. I will be watching.
Yeah. And as for my closing thoughts, I grew up wanting nothing more than endless zombie apocalypse. It is perhaps my favorite genre, possibly. I might have to make a list or something to find out if that's true, but I dearly love zombie apocalypses. The Walking Dead was a dream come true in 2010, and now I feel relief when it is off air because at least I know that for another day I won't have to worry about my favorite characters or characters I care about doing something completely uncharacteristically stupid or just god awful, and I don't have to worry about a story that makes no sense or 50 caliber machine guns just poking holes in a Jeep. I don't have to worry about if, any of the plot points and speculation that I've thought out meticulously is just going to get shat all over by the fact that the showrunner has no idea what's happening in his own show. I love it when The Walking Dead isn't on air because I can breathe easy, knowing that I can just exist in the world without The Walking Dead making everything gradually worse. So that is why fuck you, Gimple, and AMC, and The Walking Dead, and Trump supporters, and Daryl lovers, and Negan fans also. I hate you the most, actually.
Spraying
you
them.
Rapist apologizing pieces of shit.
Ooh. Get them.
Yeah.
Feels good.
It always feels great. That's why I do this all week.
It's bullshit. The whole thing is bullshit. All this time, all this goddamn time, and this is what we end up with. And she's right. The funny thing is, she's right. I keep forgetting like this was just the mid-season finale, and we have 8 more fucking seasons to go. I don't know what they're gonna do, or episodes. Good lord, I hope not seasons. Jesus Christ, 8 seasons. They wanted to be 8 more seasons, but
They want to be 20 more seasons.
20 more goddamn seasons. I don't even want to think about what that looks like.
No.
I don't. Honestly, I really don't. We won't know anybody at that point in time. Even if it'll be lucky if it makes it another 5, to be honest.
Oh, I think it'd be lucky if it makes it another 2, really. AMC
go
has
in
a
on 5.
lot. AMC has a lot of lawsuits against it.
This
They
is
haven't
true.
even renewed season 9 yet. There's Andy and Norman Reedus, that guy, gross, are still with their contract negotiations. So we'll don't know exactly why it's taking so long, but there's a lot of shit aimed at AMC right now. All the backlash from this mid-season finale. There was a death on the actual set with the stuntman this past summer, which very tragic and has can make you kind of question the safety on set. I didn't follow up with the official report or anything, but
Yeah.
there's just a lot of stuff was happening with the Walking.
There was actually 2 deaths. I know it was the stunt guy, and then it was the voiceover guy that does that says we return to the Walking Dead. Like he died too.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
In the same summer, it was like within the same month, I believe it was. I remember reading a couple of articles about it.
Dang. Yeah, this and there's a lot of behind the scenes drama coming out with a lot of former cast members. So it's looking like things aren't all sunny in The Walking Deadville.
What's going on with that?
Michael Cudlitz, who played Abraham, he said that Gimple doesn't really like him and he doesn't really care, and also never had a personal conversation with him the whole time he was on the show, other than when he called him to tell him that Abe was going to die. There's been a lot of Andy has often said across multiple interviews at different times of the show that he would email Gimple about things on the show and kind of like argue or not argue, but try to make a case for characters staying on, and then they never do, and like certain things that Rick's doing that he doesn't understand with the plot, but then of course nothing changes. And then Andy's made it clear that he kind of wants an end for Rick, and last season a lot of cast members were not happy with the set, and so many cast members make it really clear that the one character they want to kill off the most is Negan, and then knowing that Negan's going to be spared at the end. And the behind the scenes stuff with Chandler, and that he got royally screwed over, and they told him he was going to be on for 3 years, and nope, you're fired before your 18th birthday. The fact that Gimple never tells his actors what their characters' plots are going to be, and this has happened since he was showrunner. Like back in season 4, Melissa didn't know that Carol was the one who killed Karen and David.
What?
Yeah, she had no idea that Carol had, killed people. And Gimple didn't tell her until the episode where the audience would have found out.
Wow.
And that's like common practice with him. He just doesn't tell his actors what their, upcoming storylines really are, and doesn't tip them. And it's
fuck that guy. Fuck him. Like it's ridiculous. It's just shenaniganry all over the place.
Yeah. So, and maybe as time goes on, we'll hear about more fuckery. But anyways, well, that
And
was
even
supposed
if
to be
they,
our.
no, I was gonna say even if they say if they did fire Gimple and this causes a huge outrage, and okay, we'll fire him. It's still up under AMC, so
Yeah.
I don't know how that's gonna work.
Certain things definitely won't change. Daryl will still be immortal as long as AMC doesn't get I don't know, their sticks out their asses. And yeah, there's certain things that won't change. Maybe a new showrunner will have a new set of mistakes. But at this point, I think the show has just lost so much that there isn't really any coming back from this.
Could Kirkman take the property elsewhere, or no?
That's a long legal battle, and maybe we will see if he can. But even still, I think with Carl's death, really, there's just nothing that's gonna bring this show back. Like everything with Rick and Michonne from here on out was gonna be bittersweet at best. And if the show changes focus to something else or to some other characters, then it's I mean, just whatever. There's just so little faith in left in the show. Maybe someone else could come in and then change everything and bring it back to really human storytelling. And then if it got like some kind of next generation reboot or something, it could be kind of fresh and new again. But anyways, Gimple should just be fired because he's a jackass.
Fire him.
It doesn't fix the show. At this point, he just deserves it.
Find the fire Gimple petitions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are out there. So, you can look up on the forum. I made the Fire Gimple petition thread. You can follow the link through there or just Google Fire Gimple. And I'm pretty sure the first hit should be the one specifically about Carl and not the Team Delusional ones. So yeah, if you're thinking, you know what, fuck Gimple, I just want to get him fired, or you just want to make him feel bad because he knows a lot of people want him to be fired, then sign that petition.
Well, this was a good way to get a lot of heat by killing off Carl, so maybe something will happen, maybe not.
Yeah.
Who knows?
The Walking Dead, the fascinating story of how a show became aptly titled.
I can't wait till after the show does go off and somebody writes like the behind the scenes thing of what all was going on during this show.
That's all.
I'm ready for that.
I'm ready.
I'm ready for that. Let's get some information here.
Get that get all those deets.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Well, that was our those were our closing thoughts. So, anyways, everyone, stay fresh. Sign some Fire Gimple petitions, and remember to fuck Gimple, fuck AMC, fuck The Walking Dead. Tweet kill Daryl, kill Negan, over and over again like a crazy person, and tune in some other day this week because I will probably not get tired of saying fuck Gimple for at least a little while.
And add a hashtag kill Tara too, because I'm tired of her ass too. So I'm done with her.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
I'm done with her too.
All right. Anyways, bye y'all. Bye.
Bye.